quadratic equations and expressions. In this topic, we are going to look at various areas. Area number one we're going to look at is factorization. Number two, we are going to look at perfect squares. Number three, we are going to look at completing squares. At number four, we are going to look at quadratic formula. Then we also look at formations of quadratic equations. Then lastly, we shall look at quadratic graphs. Quadratic graphs. So in today's lesson, we are going to start with factorization. Factorization. So, number one is factorization. I'm going to lead you through an example or examples. Roman 1, factorize the following equations. The first one, we have x squared plus 5x plus 6. Quadratic equations, they take the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Quadratic equations or even expressions, this is an expression. An equation has an equal sign. For quadratic expressions, they take the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not 0. The reason why we say a is not 0 is that when you put a 0 here, it means that now the square part now disappears. So we say a is not equals to 0. So now, when you are factorizing this expression, the quadratic expression itself, we find two numbers whose product is a and c. Product is ac, and the sum is the coefficient of x here, which is b. We have said that to factorize this one, you find two numbers whose product is a times c, and the sum is b. In our case here, you come and establish the coefficient of x squared. The coefficient of x squared here is 1. So it means now that you're going to find two numbers whose product is 1 times 6, which is 6, and the sum is 5. So now we ask ourselves, which two numbers we multiply, we get 6. When we add them, we get 5. The numbers here are 3 and 2. So now what happens now? These two factors 3 and 2 now, we now use them to express our b, which is now our 5x in this case, in two ways using 3 and 2. So we are going to expand this one half. This is x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. Then from there, we use common factors. We group them into twos, then use common factors to factorize. The first two, what is common between x squared and 3x? So here we have an x squared, here we have an x. So generally x is common. Then when you factor out x in x squared, you're going to be left with x. When you factor out x in 3x, you're going to be left with 3. Plus 2x and 6. What is common between 2x and 6? So 2 is common. So here we are going to be left with x plus 3. When you're doing the factorization of quadratic expressions, in most cases, what is inside the brackets is the same. So now, the next thing to do now is now we combine what is now outside the bracket. So we're going to have now x plus 2 into bracket. Now we just pick one of these one, x plus 3. That becomes our solution. Number 2, we are going to look at another question. Number 2, we are going to have another question for number 2. Factorize x squared plus 4x plus 4. Students, try last question before we do it on our video. So try that question. Okay, so now we look at the solution now. So similarly, we follow the same procedure we have followed here. We find two numbers whose product is a times c. So in our case here, the coefficient of our x squared is 1. So it means that our a is 1. So it is 1 times 4. 1 times 4, you get 4. And then the sum is the coefficient of x here, which is 4. So we are going to find two numbers whose product is 4 and the sum is 2. The two numbers, when you multiply them, you get 4 is 2 and 2. Then we follow the same procedure. Use now these two factors to express now your 4x in two ways. We expand your 4x. You're going to have now, this is x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. So now also group them into 2. Group them into 2. So with x squared and 2x, what is common? X is common. When you factor out x here, remember when you're factoring out, it means you are dividing. So when you're factoring x here, you're going to be left with 1x plus, factor out x in 2x, you're going to be left with 2. Plus, what is common between 2x and 4? 2 is common. When you factor out 2, you're going to be left with x, then plus 2. If you look at what is in the bracket, it's the same as I've told you here. When you have doing factorization, what is inside the bracket is the same. Then from there, let's combine now what is outside the bracket, the factors. We're going to have now, this is x plus 2 into bracket x plus 2. That is our solution to that question. We move on to another question. At C, this one you're going to do it as a part of the exercise. Then towards the end of our video, I'm going to post the answers to part question number C. So question number C is an exercise. You do it, then towards the end of the video, I'm going to give you the answers to this question C. We move on to another example, where now the coefficient of now of x squared is not 1. We have a question here, 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. So in this case, you find that the coefficient of x squared is not 1, but the procedure now remains the same, whereby we have said that we find two numbers whose product is a and c. So it is 2 times 1, product is 2, and the sum is coefficient of x here, the sum is 3. So again, we look at the factors of 2. Factors of 2 are 2 and 1. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. So those are the factors 2 and 1. So again, use now those factors to express our 3x in two ways. We're going to have 2x squared plus 2x plus 1x plus 1. Then again, you group them into 2. You factorize them. Then between 2x squared and 2x, then 2x is common. Here you're going to be left with the x. And when you factor out 2x here, you're going to be left with 1. Plus, what is common between x and 1? So now you find that now we don't have any number which is common between them. So when we don't have a number common between two given parts, 1 is always common in all numbers. 1 is common. So we're going to have 1 is common. Then when you factor out 1, that's going to be left with the x, then plus 1. So again, you find that now what is inside the bracket is the same. So your solution becomes now 2x plus 1, then x plus 1. 2x plus 1, x plus 1. We move on to another, the example number 5. For example number 5, we are going to have 3x squared plus 6x plus 3. So you follow the same procedure. You find two numbers whose product is a times c, which is 3 times 3, which is 9. Then the sum of those two numbers is supposed to give you 6. So what do? You find the factors of 9. Two numbers you multiply, you get 9. When you add them, we get 6. So the numbers are 3, 3. Then use these factors now to express your 6x in two ways. So you're going to have 3x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 3. Then you group them into 2. Then we factor out the common factor. 3x squared and 3x, what is common? 3x is common. When you factor out 3x here, you're going to be left with x plus, when you factor out 3x here, you're going to be left with 1. Plus 3x and 3, what is common? 3 is common. So when you factor out x here, 3 here, you're going to be left with x. When you factor out 3 here, you're going to be left with 1. Then you combine now what is outside the brackets. You're going to have 3x plus 3, then x plus 1. That becomes your solution. I had indicated that I'm going to give you the solution towards the end of this video of the exercise I had given. And let's now look at the solution to that equation, so that or to that expression rather, so that we see now whether you have understood the concept. Okay, so in this case, the question is x squared plus 6x plus 9. So find two numbers whose product is 9, and then the sum is 6. So you find the factors of 9. Numbers are 3, 3. You factor out here, you're going to have x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. Then you group them into 2. What is common between x squared and 3x? X is common. When you factor out x here, you're going to be left with x plus 3. What is common between 3x and 9? 3 is common. Then you're going to have, when you factor out 3, you're going to be left with x plus 3. Then you're going to have, combine now what is outside the bracket. This is x plus 3. Then x plus 3 is our solution. There comes the end of our session today. Please subscribe and follow for more videos. In our next lesson, we are going to learn about perfect squares. So remember to press the subscription button so that each and every time you're having a lesson or have posted a video, you get a notification so you can be able to learn from those videos. Share to your friends so that they can also be able to learn from our lessons. Thank you so much. Have a nice time.